Hey everyone, it's CJ, and we are doing another episode of Celebrity or Crime Chatter, sorry, Objection Crime Chatter, which is another show that we do outside of Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. This is our other show, Crime Chatter, where we update on everything having to do with true crime. In today's episode, we are going to be going over. Um, the Bryan Kohberger gag order being lifted and the unsealing of all the evidence since he has pled guilty. There will no longer be a trial in the Bryan Kohberger case. To remind everyone who's new and who may not know what the Bryan Kohberger case is, it was the brutal murders of 4 college students in Idaho, also known as the Idaho Four. And it was really big. It went viral. It was really big in the web sleuth community because for about 4 or 6 weeks, everyone was trying to figure out who it was, and the police finally caught up to Bryan Kohberger, who was a student in Pullman, Washington. He went to a university in Pullman, Washington, and these students went to the University of Idaho. So he crossed state lines, committed this crime while they were sleeping, and broke into the home. And yeah, it's one of the most brutal crimes that I've seen. And for our generation, they compare it to somebody like Ted Bundy and things like that. Um, so that's who Bryan Kohberger is. He was going to go to trial in August, but instead he pled guilty. And so now, due to media, Daily Mail to be exact was one of them, which, Daily Mail lately, I've had such a good, I know that a lot of people are like, oh, it's not that great of a news source, but they've been on the ball with the Blake Lively stuff and also with this letter that they wrote. So let's get into how the gag order was lifted and in that case. And then we're also going to be going over the Jeffrey Epstein files and how they're still not unsealed. And we're going to just get updated on that. And to end the show, we're going to let y'all know what cases we'll be covering this week, because this will be the time that we'll be doing the night show, which is Objection Crime Chatter. It'll be Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Let me pull this up. Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. Got a little ahead of myself. That is for the Epstein stuff. Let me go back. Sorry about that. Let me go back and pull up the correct one. Sorry, y'all. This is the second time it's happened where okay, hold on. I'm just going to share this one. And then what I can do is share this tab instead. Okay, here we go. That's the right one. And let me just add someone to the chat who just came in. I know I had told you guys I was supposed to come in with Josh, but he could not make it today. But he'll definitely be on the show in the future. And that's the lawyer that was featured in Court TV and Sky News and stuff. But we have our very own DFJ back in the house. DFJ, what's going on?
Hi.
Yep. I messaged her. I was like, "Oh, Josh couldn't make it tonight. If you can make it," and it was the bat signal, and she came through. So thank you, DFJ, for coming through. She's a pretty much expert on Bryan Kohberger because she followed the case very, like, she has a ton of stuff on her channel or her ex on Bryan Kohberger, so she followed it really, really closely. So thanks for coming.
Yes, thanks for having me.
So we're just getting into the unsealing of the documents and why. So I had posted, if you guys have not joined the show's community on X, it's Objection Crime Chatter. And that's a community I started on X, which has all all the updates on all the crime chatter stuff and everything we'll be covering on the show and stuff. So I had posted breaking update on Bryan Kohberger case. Judge Hippler has lifted the gag order and all evidence and info in regards to the case will be available after his sentencing, which his sentencing is next week on the 23rd. So it's Wednesday. Wednesday will be the sentencing, and then we'll have all the info coming out after that. It says, thank you to Ad Daily Mail and all the other news outlets who submitted a motion to provide info to the public, because prior to this, the gag order was still in effect. And it says, this is a snippet from the Daily Mail. It says, the judge said he had weighed the arguments, with Kohberger's defense fighting to keep the gag order in place, citing the media frenzy about the case, which, he's already pled guilty, so a gag order didn't make sense. And found that at this point, I just don't think I can justify, or the judge found that at this point, I can't justify the continuance of the non-dissemination order. I think the rights of the public to information in this case is paramount given the fact that a plea has been entered in this case. Judge Hippler also revealed plans to unseal at least part of the trove of records and evidence in the case that have long been shrouded in secrecy. This process to unseal records will begin after Kohberger's sentencing next week. And so why I think it says partial is because there may be a lot of redactions and things pertaining to the roommates who survived, the attack. They were basically in separate rooms. And so they think either he didn't know they were there or, he just, we still don't have a motive. So that's one of the things that, a lot of people are thinking, is there going to be any evidence in this trove of why he did it? Are you, DFJ, are you looking forward to the evidence coming out and all that stuff? Because, there's been a giant question mark and a lot of people, with conspiracy theories and stuff as to like what happened, blaming the roommates and things like that. So do you think this is going to be a good thing for all like to kind of have all the conspiracy theories die down?
I definitely think having the evidence come out will be helpful, but I don't think it would be as helpful as if they had made Kohberger part of his plea deal was to admit that he had acted alone. Because I think, even still to this day, there's so many people who, for whatever reason, think like the roommates were involved, And I feel like, and it's really nice. Like Kaylee's dad, he was one of the ones who was advocating for that because he's like, they've been through enough, He's like, people keep putting blame on them, and this would be nice for them. And it's just like, I thought that was really heartwarming because like his own daughter's gone, and he's out there like advocating for the two roommates who like he could easily be mad at, for like not acting right away or not noticing. And, he knows that he realizes they're victims too.
Yeah, and we're going to get into Steve Gonzalez and Christy Gonzalez, who are the parents of Kaylee, which was one of the students that was murdered. They actually went on Good Morning America, and I pulled up a little article of what they were saying about it. Let me go into how it's going to be released. So for everyone who wants to know how to obtain the docs, it says, here's the press release from the city of Moscow on how the docs will be put into the public. So it's saying that there's going to be a website. It says, due to the significant public and media interest, the city of Moscow will be making some of the investigation reports that have been sealed by the court available to the public and media at no cost to enhance access to public information and to reduce the burden on the city's limited staff. Because normally you'd have to put in an FOIA request, pay for it, and all that stuff. And I know in the past, with the Depp trial and stuff like that, where docs needed to be obtained, people would pull their money together and stuff to, just get it once, and then one of the creators would put it somewhere. So this is actually pretty cool of the city of Moscow to do this, so that way, anyone can access it. And so they're saying the volume of investigative records is substantial, and all records must be reviewed to determine if they are exempt or contain exempt or protected personal information. So basically redactions. At that point in time, a separate press release will be issued providing the web address and notification to the public that the web page is available for access. So I'm not sure if it'll be immediately available on Wednesday after the sentencing, or if that's when it becomes available to the city for redaction, and then from there they'll get the website. It wasn't quite clear, but it's basically saying that once they redact all the documents, then they'll have a web address where you can obtain them. And I'll post that to the community on X. And I need to start using the YouTube community a little bit more too. Because I forget that they have like a little, you can post on it similar to X. So I'll try and remember to post there. But so here is the family speaking out. So I pulled up this article. It was actually CBS. I said Good Morning America, but it was CBS Mornings that they were in. And let me, I'm not going to play it for you. I'm just going to read it. Stephen Christy Gonzalez, whose daughter Kaylee was one of the 4 in November, who was, unalived in November, that they're still grasping for answers. We still don't know the motive. And so this is what me and DFJ were just talking about, the motive. Steve Gonzalez said, I don't think they want anyone to know the motive. I don't think they want anyone to know when he first came on their radar. The family's attorney, go ahead, DFJ.
Yeah, no, I think he's onto something. I think, when you were talking about the redacting, it makes me think like, I feel like we're not going to get the full story still. I feel like they're going to redact a lot of, I think the whole beginning of when they entered that house is going to be like redacted.
Yeah, and so it's similar, and why I paired it with Epstein, because it's similar to that, where it's like, yeah, you're going to get answers, but then you're getting no answers,
Mhm.
And here, the family's attorney, Shannon Gray, says the motive was always an issue in this case. That is one of the issues that stirred up the conspiracy theories, that he was not working alone, all this stuff. And we'll get into some of the stuff that supposedly is being said that it's going to come out, but there were several books written about the case already. And, everybody seems to think that they know info that wasn't made public. And so we'll get into some of the theories that people have of what may be coming out. But it says, it continues to say that the victims had been divided over the plea deal. And me and DFJ did a show last week where we went over the case, and where we were trying to help the family, so that Kohberger could, in his plea deal, put in why he did it or more details, if he worked alone and stuff. And it didn't work because Hitler actually got mad. So there's an update on that, DFJ. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
What happened after that?
Yeah, how Hitler just got mad at people.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked. I mean, this was at the change of plea hearing, and this is a very emotional time, and it was very last minute. So a lot of these families were last minute going there. And he opens it by like yelling at the public and yelling. I mean, I felt like he was kind of yelling at the families too. I obviously it was more directed towards Kaylee's parents. But it was just, it was a little off-putting, honestly, I thought, to me, because I was just like, oh my God, like this is not what you would expect at a change of plea hearing, And yeah, he just said that don't overwhelm the courts, and they're like he's not going to take into account anything that the public has to say. And he basically admonished everyone. But
and it was, bad, because I really liked the fact that Hitler was trying to have more transparency in the case, as opposed to the judge in Moscow,
oh, he was
who
a
was like,
lot better than that
spill
judge.
everything. And even when he said, when the defense was fighting it, I mean, he's already pled guilty. I don't know why the defense was fighting it. Probably because it's going to make their client look worse. But he's already, serving life in jail. So I thought it was cool that he was like, no, the public deserves to know. But we'll see how much of it, we will get to know. But yeah, I really thought that it was awful because he admonished the family well, I don't think they went into the courtroom, but it was still like, this is what you did that was bad. And it was like, I get it that, the staff was overwhelmed, but you didn't even, like, the phones were off, the voicemail didn't work. So what,
And
you
it was
have
only for like
email?
2 days. It was only for 2 days, and they're gonna have now they're gonna have like 4 months cleared off their calendar from this case. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
so why couldn't they? Exactly. So I think you summed it up pretty well. And so this is what it says. It says they wanted to require a full confession, full accountability, location of the murder weapon, because the murder weapon was never found. Only the sheath to the knife was found. And that's how they were able to find out who did it. They basically got DNA that they ran through like a 23andMe type of thing, like a genealogy thing, where it came back as someone who was, it was his father's DNA, right? If I'm correct.
Well, they pulled the father's DNA from the trash can after they tracked
Okay, yeah.
them back to Pennsylvania, and then I think yeah they used that to compare to the DNA, the print on the
Because
button of the
nothing had
sheet.
come up with the blood, or it was transfer DNA that came up on the sheath, and nothing came up in like their database. But then when they put it through this genealogy, so it was actually going to be a case that's, I was really looking forward to it going to trial because it was going to set precedence on like the use of like the genealogy stuff, and that was intriguing to me because forensics wise, the way that he was caught and stuff was really interesting because they've never had that type of um access to this stuff, like a lot of the time why like the Ted Bundys of the world got away with it is because there was no, the forensics tech wasn't there.
Well, I have a feeling that that's probably going to be one of the redacted things. We're not going to see how they were, you know, we're not probably not going to see that report, I'm guessing, but
Yeah, so they wanted confirmation that he acted alone, and that was to help the two roommates who survived,
roommates.
who were in the other rooms, and that's still to this day. Even now that it came out that Hunter, the neighbor, had like grabbed a knife when he, so the two girls that survived basically called in the morning, called their neighbors, and it was this guy Hunter and his girlfriend Emily, and they went over there, and he's like, okay, something's sus, and he ends up grabbing a knife. And so a lot of people were like trying to blame Hunter and Emily, trying to blame the roommates, trying to blame all these people, but by the time that Hunter found them, it was already too late and all that stuff. But so those four people have gone through so much scrutiny, and I don't know if enough information is going to come out to clear them, or if it's just going to add more to the tinfoil heads who have the conspiracy that they were involved. Christy goes on to say, we don't know any more than pretty much everybody else. With this gag order being lifted, it will allow us to know more about what happened to our daughter, because they want to know all the details. They want to know, you know, what her last minutes and hours were like, how or why he targeted them and all that stuff, as opposed to Ethan Chapin, who was, um, so it was three girls and one guy who was the boyfriend of one of the girls. And his family doesn't want to know the details. They just want to move on. They don't want to know all like the nitty gritty of what happened to their son. So there's a difference in all the families.
Yeah, and I think also they didn't want to have to take time away to deal with the trial, I think was the other thing. So that's why they really did want the plea deal.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. It says, so Steve Gonzalez goes on to say, I think by hiding the truth, we're protecting our killers. We have to show the ugliness of what this person did. And that resonated with me because I think that's why I like, or not like true crime, but I think that's why I'm attracted to true crime, is because in the details, you can kind of tell like things to avoid, or like I know after the Idaho 4 stuff, I always double triple check my doors because it seems like he came in through the sliding glass door that was left unopened. Um and so like the more details, I think it's also like you're more prepared for a scenario like that, or it's also like this thing where um it helps you better understand it, because like you're like, well, how could that have happened? And it's the same thing with like the Blake Lively Justin Baldoni case, where the more details I would uncover, the better it was for me to like understand it, because it was like so mind-boggling. So I think that's what, when he said that, I was like, I really resonated with that. He says he's worried about Bryan Kohberger going into jail and wielding his influences. He's saying he has a master's degree in criminology, and I feel that he will be helping other inmates with legal matters and writing legal papers to his fellow prisoners. Um, and so I'd never even thought of that, that he could influence people. But don't you think they would keep him in like that 24-hour, where it's like 23 hours?
Protective. Yeah. So there's actually do you watch the channel Surviving the Survivor?
No, I don't.
Okay, so they did he did an episode recently. I think it was like a week or two ago, and they interviewed like people that are involved with like that same prison that he's going to be at. Sorry. And that he's going to be at. And so they were saying like, yeah, how he is going to be on the lowest of the totem poles, like that it's basically like right above like a child, you know, predator. And because I guess some people were like, oh, because he's white, like the white nationalists or whatever will take him in, and they're like, no, like it's gonna be rough for him. He better like be careful, like everything he
Yeah,
eats.
because they were almost considered like children because they were like in college, so they were like young
Yeah.
adults type of thing. Yeah, I did hear that.
And
Yeah.
so I mean, I found that really interesting. But yeah, he most likely will be like mostly protected. And I think even when you are though in the protective custody or whatnot, like you're still the people that are in protective still get to kind of congregate together when they do their workout or whatever the hour a day they get away. So he'll have that. So I don't really think he's going to like be like helping people learn the law, which is really funny because I do actually have a friend in jail for this trial that I followed, and they wanted him out of jail because he's a lawyer and he was helping all the people that were in
It's
the
so
jail.
funny. That
Yeah,
is so
and
funny.
it was really funny, but I don't think that's going to be the case here at all. And the other thing I was just going to say was about the narrative. I think was the other thing that's what Kaylee's dad was talking about, was like he didn't want this plea deal without answers because otherwise now Kohberger gets to control the narrative again.
And in the chat, we have our very own Leanne Newton. Miss
Hi.
Leanne, she came to support. I'm so excited.
I
And then,
cannot wait to read her motion to quash tomorrow.
yeah, I just wanted to pause real quick because I love the support. Thank you so much, Leanne. That was really cool. And then we have Laura modding. Thank you so much for modding. And obviously, our other mod, Christina. And thank you, Just Snooping, for stopping by as well. Here's Just Snooping. And let me pull up Christina. There she is. So thanks everyone for stopping by. I know this is like a Sunday stream, but we're normally going to do a Monday through Thursday at the same time. So Christina says it won't ultimately save him if they really want him. I don't remember which prison he will go to. I believe he's going to be going, to the Moscow one, right?
I don't know I can't remember if it's in Moscow, but it's in Idaho, and he will still be able to eat his like vegan or whatever. Like he will get some things, and it's still a lot better than it's still a lot better than if he had been facing the death penalty. He's going to be able but he's going to be living like on edge while he's there the whole time because he's not going to be regarded as the kind of prisoners that prisoners like.
Yeah, he's mildly mercurial. Thank you for stopping by. She says, or they say, I think plea deals should come with a full confession every time, and that confession should be available to the families if they choose to read it. And you know what? When I looked it up, that's normally when they like put together a plea deal for someone, it's pretty standard for there to be either a full confession or I forget what it's called. It's kind of like ex parte, where it's like a confession that's only like behind closed doors to like the family or the judge.
Or at least answer some questions. I mean, they're sparing him his life. Like they're sparing him from having to face the firing squad. I feel like it wouldn't be too much to answer a few questions, but because that's the thing. If this had gone to trial, people would have seen all like the evidence and seen like the mistakes and all the flaws, and that he's not like this mastermind. He's a fucking moron. He's a sick guy, and what he did was awful, and he got caught, and if now it just says he admitted to it, but then now in prison he could just give whatever narrative he wants, and there's this kind of like mystery to it, and he gets to control the narrative again, which that's what like hurts me for the families.
Yeah, Alyssa says these ladies are the best mods. They sure are, and that's what. If you see that, it says Kaylee's parents described Kohberger as showing zero remorse and acting like a robot, a killing robot during court proceedings, and so they initially had said that they weren't going to make victim impact statements, but it seems like they've changed their minds and are going to be At least I know Olivia, the sister who was, she was one of the people who advocated for Kaylee in the beginning. And I mean, the whole family, trying to get stuff out. They were the ones sleuthing everything out, giving evidence to the Idaho police. They're the ones who got the information about the DoorDash driver and the Uber driver that took him from the taco place, or the food truck place to their house, and then they obtained the food truck video. So it seems like the family has changed their minds on uh, doing the victim impact statement. So they'll be in court, but I can't imagine how just crazy it is for the families to like be in the same room as him.
Yeah, and I think that's like a huge part of the process, because before the plea deal had happened, remember when we did your other video on this, and
Mhm.
you showed the clip there from like the parents, and they were saying how they like were preparing, for the trial. They were preparing for what they were going to see. Like they were really, took like a lot for them to prepare for this, and then now they don't even get a trial, and it's like they had like changed, made all these plans, like they planned their whole lives around getting an Airbnb, because remember it was like 6 hours away,
Mhm.
and so now everything's kind of changed, and I think it maybe felt rushed at first, and they're like, well, screw this, we're not going to do victim impact. But it is a huge part at the end of like this whole ordeal. Normally you have a whole trial beforehand, but they don't in this case. But I think it'll be really healing for them.
And can
And
you bring up the guy? Is it Doctor? But it starts
oh,
with the B.
Gary Burkotto, yes, he's
Gary
amazing.
Brocado. So he was in our last stream. It's I don't know if you can type it in DFJ his exact name in the chat, but so people can go check him out. But Dr. Gary Brocado, and he had he was in this video with the family, and he's the one who stated that the victim impact statement part of it is where most families 99% of the time get their closure. It's right then and there where they're able to speak their piece, confront the person who, did this atrocity, and then that's when the grieving, pretty much starts, and the healing and all that stuff. So if I don't know if you have the link to the video offhand or whatever, or you can send it to me later and I can put it down below.
Yeah, and I'm going to send you that, and then I also want to send you. There was another good one where he was on the interview room with Dr. Ann Burgess, who
Mhm.
she was the one that the Mindhunter show was based off of. She started the FBI behavior analyst unit, and they were just breaking down like the psyche of Bryan Kohberger, and it's just really interesting if you do want to learn you know like what goes behind this and what they know. And because there was things that came out, I think it was the Dateline show, where like even like the adult content that he was watching like says a lot about him. Like they think he was really kind of like the Ted Bundy type, where like they liked the people to be like sleeping or
Yeah, because that's some of the stuff that they think, or that is going to be coming out, that was in the book.
okay.
James Patterson, the true crime author, he wrote a book, and he said he interviewed over 300 people that he had Googled. And this is something that I think is true because it was in the Dateline episode. And remember, the judge admonished whoever leaked it. So that's what makes me think that the Dateline stuff was true. Um, Part of the reason why they think it didn't go to trial was there's this conspiracy theory that um, it was because someone was going to be exposed for leaking stuff to Dateline, and so they hurried up and made this plea offer. So I'm not
And I
sure if the
know,
leak came from the defense or the prosecution, but just to wrap this little slide up, Steve Gonzalez says, if he says, I went in there for one person, I lusted, I had a moment, I was drunk or I was on drugs, and it just, went crazy, that would make more sense. And so one of the things that was in that book was that he would Google women who were asleep,
mhm,
as like a fantasy. Like he would Google corn that was of women who were
yeah.
asleep. So that's what Steve Gonzalez is saying, that it might make more sense. Um,
And we also never got answers about Buddy. And then you tagged me in that other post where there was another dog, which I didn't even know about.
And I didn't bring that post up. I actually brought a different Buddy adjacent. Well, because I was like, I thought it was just Buddy the dog, but yes, I should repost that one in the crime chatter group, the other dog that
Yeah.
someone it was in the book. It was in James Patterson's book, that there was another dog in the same area, right?
Mm-hmm. Two
That
days before.
2 days before, so it was Buddy a week before or something, right?
Yep.
And then this other dog that was not Buddy, but,
They are
um
both skinned, and it's like kind of typical of like a warm up killing. And then there was no other instances like this after Kohberger was arrested. So you have to kind of think they go hand in hand, or they have another complete psychopath, that they should be worrying about in Moscow.
yeah, and so this is one of the things that might come out, and I know a lot of people don't like JLR investigates, but this is just where I found it. It says there was chatter that Bryan Kohberger was behind what happened to Buddy the dog, but now we're also hearing that his parents were convened to the grand jury for this unsolved case of Dana Smithers in his hometown. So this woman was also, I believe, stabbed, and this was in his hometown in Monroe County, Pennsylvania, and it happened right before he left for college.
Wow.
In May 2022, just 1 month before Kohberger left to go to Washington State. Oh, that's the university he went to, was Washington State. I couldn't remember it earlier. Kohberger's parents were subpoenaed in front of a grand jury for it. So she lived down the street from him. So I don't know what ended up happening with that or what, but maybe some of that investigative work will come out in the files if they, pursued this. Because it was news to me. I was like, wait a second, like what? What a coincidence that and I believe she ran and then he ran. She was a jogger and then he was a jogger.
Oh, that's so scary.
So yeah, this was another thing that, might come up in all this stuff. Let's look at the chat and see what's going on over there. Yeah. Yes, Mercurial, it sure is. They had the opportunity to make him confess. Yeah, they chose
Yes.
not to, and that's why Steve is pissed. Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if people like Megan Kelly, but her episode the day, so she streamed the change of plea hearing, and then afterwards she had like a former prosecutor on and someone else on to get their opinions on it. Because and Megan was floored. She was so mad that the judge was like behaved like that, like yelled at with the victims' families there like that, and her and the former prosecutor were just, the former prosecutor was just like, this is why we have the death penalty, is for cases like this. And he's like, I don't understand why they accepted this plea deal and the way they did. So they got a lot of scrutiny, and I think that's like one of the best coverages of it I saw.
Yeah, I think so too. That was really, really good coverage. Molly Mercurial says they want answers so they can write their victim impact statement, said Steve. Yes. I
Oh,
do remember he said that there was a video of a woman in the article that I read where she used in her victim impact statement how many times her sister had been stabbed.
oh my
And
God.
so they were using that as an example of like, a lot of people want that. Like they want to they want to say back to the murderer like what their loved one had to go through and like retell the story. Like you did this to her, and supposedly Kaylee was like really violent. They're saying now that
Yeah.
Steve Gonzalez came out and said that she might have been gagged because the coroner. And this is how Steve Gonzalez knew a bunch of information in the beginning, was because the coroner just went off and like told them a bunch of stuff about how their daughter's body was or whatever, but they said that she had damage to her mouth where he either was like using his hand or used something else to try and gag her.
Well, I don't know if you remember. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, remember in the very, very, very like beginning when he first talked to the coroner. I don't know if you remember this, but he said how she told him that Kaylee had it the worst. And
Mhm.
because I remember Brian Enton did like a thing on it, like a live on it. And I was like, and he's like, I wonder if that means she was the target. And I was like, no, I feel like that means she was defending her best friend. Like, because
Mhm.
I think Maddie was the target. And then I think Kaylee was trying to,
Well, there's a theory that she wasn't sleeping in the bed, because I know that they were saying she was against the wall asleep and so she couldn't escape. But there's also a theory that she was in her room with Murphy, the dog, and she came out when she heard something, and then he pushed her up against the wall in the bed because that's where Matt, like, he threw her up on the bed. So there's a theory that she interrupted him, and then there's the other theory that Zaina interrupted what he was doing to Kaylee because she went up the stairs to figure out what was going on,
Mhm.
and then she tried to run down and all that stuff. So even just like, oh my gosh, somebody did the person who did all like the imaging for I believe the prosecution or whatever, like getting ready for trial, the person who did like a reenactment for them. Oh no. She didn't do it for the prosecution. She did it for Dateline and for another
Yes,
show.
I know what you're talking about with the 3D animation of
Yeah,
the
the
home.
3D
Yeah.
animation. Oh my gosh, when I watched that, like I didn't sleep for like 3 days after that. Like it was just too real. Like it shows everyone sleeping in the beds and everything. Why wasn't the university flag of Kohberger's past? I don't know if they knew about this.
No, but there was they did that he had some kind of like administration issue, right? With his like TA. Like wasn't he something had just happened. He got like talked to or something
Yeah, but
for
it was kinda just like he was being creepy, right? Or, like, there was nothing, like, solid of what he was doing, he just
I
acted
guess
creepy?
so. Yeah.
Was that one of them?
Yeah, that was one of them. I don't know. I just feel like someone like this, it doesn't come out of nowhere. There's signs, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to getting some answers, and I would definitely. I cannot wait until Gary Bricado gets to look at it because, yeah, he's been spot on about Koberger like the whole time.
So this is someone, Paula Neal Mooney, who had written a book, and a bunch of people debunked it, but I'm still gonna include it in here, but, just, because 'cause I'm going through, like, some of the conspiracies that people think might come out. It says, "New information is saying that Brian had slipped into the Idaho 4 DMs." It's saying
What?
that Vicky Ward, who wrote one of the books, was saying that he targeted Maddie Mogan and that there'll be a digital footprint that's in court record that we know that he slipped into sort of the DMs of all of them. So I'm like,
Into sort of the DMs? What does that even mean?
into sort of the DMs. I don't know exactly, but somebody in the comments debunked it. They said it's an old People magazine rumor that has been debunked. Did y'all not watch the plea hearing? But it'll be interesting if it does come out that, he did have some sort of connection with them because they said that the Mad Greek restaurant, like that he had seen, that's where Maddie and Zaina worked. That was also supposedly debunked. But I know at one point the manager had, I don't know if it was true or not, but on Reddit, someone had said that they spoke to the manager and the manager had said he'd seen him there. So I
Well,
don't know.
what I remember, like Dr. Bricado saying was something like there was a pool party or something, like I don't know, months before this, and they were all that was the one only place I think that they all were at.
Oh,
Um,
the pool party one. Yeah, I do remember that.
yeah, and then how he had like saved images or taken photos, and they were on his phone, and then he was like obsessed or something, and that he had a very specific type, like it was he was obsessed with like exactly how Maddie looked, like that kind of type.
Oh, like the blonde hair.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember that he thought she was the target. Well, all the stuff that I've learned was that Maddie was the target. I've never seen other chatter about anybody else. Have you?
That was only in the beginning when we found out that like when the coroner had told Steve that his daughter had the most cuts and had it the worst. So people were like, "Well, was that the target?" But then it was like, no, it was. Um,
Because she was awake, and I think that's why she got it the worst.
yeah,
Um, Even though I don't know why Zaina is Zaina, but maybe because she ran. I don't know. Like she
and there
didn't
was
try
a
and fight him.
there was another thing that I really suggest like to watch Megan Kelly's that stream on it just to hear this prosecutor. I've clipped it. I might like see if I can post it. Citizen had me post my first YouTube clip
Oh,
today.
yes. Let's shout you out really quick,
um,
before I do this one. Don't DFJ actually has a YouTube channel now. I encouraged her to start, posting. She posted a Blake Lively, adjacent video today. And so, yes, if you guys don't subscribe, if Christina or Laura can put it in the, link it in the, or here, maybe I can go look. look it up real quick, but
Well, I don't have anything. I just have the one that you told me to post today. But I was just gonna,
you can still subscribe. I didn't have anything before, and people can
well,
still
I was just gonna
subscribe.
say I was thinking of like, oh, maybe I could like make a clip or a short of it of what the prosecutor on our show said, because the other thing that was really disturbing was during the plea change hearing, remember the prosecutor was like, oh, there was no like sexual element to it, and it's like, you don't know that. Like, how do you know that? Like, you don't. There's just because like there was no like sign of like any like essay or something, it doesn't mean that there wasn't like a sexual like element to it. I mean, that's a large part of this whole thing, is this like fantasy in this sick guy's head, you know? And like, so that was another thing they went off about. I mean, they kind of ripped that Latah County prosecutor. It's a really good. That was a good episode.
Oh, I tried to get the link, but I guess it didn't link. But it's Don't FCK with Justice, Christina. If you can get it to her, like it's a clickable link. I'm not that good. But yeah, go check her out, and yeah, that'd be cool if you could start linking some videos. And so just to wrap up the Bryan Kohberger stuff, I found this really compelling. How the heck am I already subscribed? She had her YouTube channel before. She just hadn't posted anything, so maybe you had a couple subs already. DFJ?
Oh, I think I had like, I don't know. After yesterday's show, I had
Christina's
like,
like, how the heck am I still already subscribed?
I don't know. That's really cool. Let me see if I can. I don't really know. I don't even know how to go to my channel.
Don't FCK with Justice.
Yeah,
No
I'm just gonna
spaces.
go to view my channel. Okay, so I see it. Hold on.
She said, how am I?
Okay, I just there you go.
So anyway, so this is the last of it. Bryan Kohberger interview, home search left impression on Pullman police chief. So I know you guys were like, was there any signs or whatever? So this was an article about the police chief, talking about when he applied to work there and how crazy it was, because it says he didn't hire him because he says, I was looking for someone who was really interested in conducting relevant and actionable research for us rather than just theoretical research. And there is a whole conspiracy theory behind the theoretical research that was going on in Pullman during the time of studying criminal minds and stuff like that. So I'm not, this isn't a conspiracy stream tonight, so I won't go down that rabbit hole. But he says, I just felt that he would have had a difficult time developing the trust with my staff. And he seemed a little bit awkward in talking. He wasn't very conversational, and I just thought he would not be a good fit and would have difficulty working with my staff. So what really creeped him out was that he would be, and this is him, Jenkins, this is the officer, who doesn't work for the Pullman police anymore. But yeah, he said he wouldn't see him for another couple months after, but it was chilling to him to like think that that person might have been working for his police department had it not, like, you know, had he hired him.
That is
Um,
scary.
so yeah, it was just something that was like pretty chilling. And then there's Kohberger. For those who didn't watch the plea deal, it was live and you were able to watch it, and so you kind of see him looking robotic a little bit there. But yeah, he was really like straightforward, like looking straight, like not really making any kind of, like, he didn't show emotion through the whole trial. So anyways, yeah, let's look at the chat. Anybody else? Let's look at the chat before we move on to the next one. Yeah, it did work. So okay. I got the songs from DFJ. Okay, so we're gonna move on to how do I
Oh
hide
yeah,
this?
my AI songs. I
Oh, do
think
you have AI songs?
well, they're not public. I can put them public because I have one from like remember when we all stayed up really late to see if they were going to do a second amended complaint and then they didn't file it. And like, remember, it felt like almost like there was a funeral or something among like all the people following the case.
Yeah.
And everyone was like sad. And so I made an AI song about it and it's called Docket Heartbreak. and then,
I didn't hear, Kenny says it's on the playlist. I don't remember hearing Docket Heartbreak. I would have remembered that song.
Okay, well,
If
she just
so, I
added
would
it. And then there
Khaleesi,
was
thank you
another
so much for subbing to DFJ. Appreciate you
Yeah,
always.
thank you. I mean, I feel really bad. I don't really have anything. I have one channel, or one
Well, that's why
video.
I'm encouraging you, because she posted the video that's on there, the short, that shows, like, how they messed up Leanne's name, and I thought it was really good editing, and so did Leanne. Leanne was in there, and she's like, she went in there, and she was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." And so I told her, I was like, "You could post this on YouTube as a short," and then she went and did it, and I was like, "Yes." So I've been encouraging her to, do more work, and I know she has those 30 slides on Van Zandt, and I'm like, "Girl, just put them up." Put it up because, um, I know that, there's not a lot of people that covered Van Zandt. There was a couple people who did, but, um, it's something that really takes a lot for you to, like, understand it. I know Cassidy did a really good job with it. There was a bunch of other people who, try to explain it and have that skill to, like, dumb it down. Because I remember it took me a couple times to figure out, like, what the heck. Because there was 2 Van Zandt companies, and then I know Same Girl Different Time is another one that I think did a really good job of reporting on the Van Zandt. Leanne as well, she has a knack for dumbing it down and stuff, but, those were dark days, Khaleesi. Yes, they were. When it
They
was like,
were.
and someone just made a video that's like, how is it that, the judge dismissed the Nice Pool stuff with Ryan Reynolds, yet
Mhm.
and that now Blake Lively has hurt feelings and is trying to sue people, and so they brought back them dark days. I was like, I hadn't thought about the dismissal in so long, the MTV.
And
Um,
salt and Sweet and Salty Lynn. Oh, sorry. Sweet and Salty Lynn also posted something really funny today. She's like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. She's like, you want to access to my financials, but you won't show yours, Blake Lively. She's like, why don't you show yours? And then I'll share mine. I thought it was pretty funny.
So we're going to get into what is going on with Jeffrey Epstein, just to kind of like wrap up the show and stuff. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I just wanted to team it up with something that was gonna bring people to the stream, and I'm like, Epstein is trending lately, and you know what? It actually worked out because it is. They're both, the unsealing, possibly. Any last words on the Kohberger unsealing, DFJ, before we move on to Epstein?
I mean, I'm glad that you are on the same side as me as far as like the dog. And I swear, if there is no mention of Buddy in any of the police files on the Moscow website or anything, I'm gonna raise some hell because I want to know what happened to those dogs. That's so sad. And the one from 2 days before. So, I mean, they're not gonna like tell us anything, but I don't
We
know.
need to just do a whole episode on Buddy, I feel like,
We should.
to get the word out there. And there was other people besides me in the um Idaho 4 Reddit. There was people who were like, whatever happened to the Buddy thing? So we're not the only ones um who, still remember Buddy and, want the case reopened and all that stuff. So animals are innocent, yeah. And DFJ is like her other username on TikTok is Law Nerds and Paw Nerds.
Yeah, because like I was covering this like animal welfare case that kept getting me kicked off like X. So I was able to post it on TikTok, so I just called it a different name, Law Nerds and Paw Nerds. And
Yeah, so my last thing on the Kohberger stuff is I really just hope that it doesn't end up like the Epstein stuff where a lot of the stuff isn't unsealed and it brings more questions and answers.
yeah,
Um, because especially for the roommates, I know that they've already had a hard time, with all the speculation and all that stuff. So I hope it doesn't raise, more hell for them. And honestly, I just, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, it's nosy," or "You're being nosy," or it's like, "Why would you want to know something so tragic?" I think it's important to know how the investigation went, to hold the city of Moscow, the police department accountable, for one, just to see, because they hadn't had a murder in how long? I think it was
it was
like,
like 17 years or something.
yeah, and so, especially for the residents there, I feel like it's important for them to see how it all played out. Um, and then just for, to give closure to the parents, because I'm one of the people that's like really, really empathic towards the Gonzalez, because I've seen them since the very beginning
Me
fight
too.
for their daughter. And a lot of people talk smack about Steve Gonzalez, but like, I wish I had, if God forbid anything ever happened, like someone advocating for me in that way, because he doesn't care what people say about him. He still is going on the news channels, and he's still talking about it and keeping it in the forefront. So let's move on to let's go ahead and move on to Epstein. So, I had posted about it. Let me pull this one up. I had posted about just Ghislaine. Is it Ghislaine or Ghislaine? I always mess up her name. Ghislaine
Yeah,
Maxwell.
Ghislaine.
Yeah, it says things are getting spicier over at SDNY. Her appeal was due to overturn her 20-year sentence, and she was also in the news for wanting to reveal the full Epstein list. So honestly, I didn't do my research before I came on what happened with the Ghislaine stuff. Um, if she did submit an appeal or not, but you can follow at Inner City Press if you're not already following him from all the other cases. Yeah, he's everything coming out of SDNY, but I'm sure he will update it. So I don't know if because this was like on Thursday or Friday, or maybe it was Wednesday, but so I don't know what ended up happening here, but um, Ghislaine is basically saying like if y'all aren't gonna reveal the list, then like she wants to talk. So it'll be interesting if she does or if they let her or what, because um, it seems like Trump is not going to release them. He's gone back and forth. He's, said all this stuff about, possibly Pam Bondi is going to release what's credible. But he has not. This is the latest. So this is as of 1:11 p.m. yesterday. ABC News writes Trump calls those who want the Epstein files released troublemakers. So it's really funny that he's calling them troublemakers, because
He was one of them, right?
yes, like a lot of the thing that people don't realize is that like Cash Patel was on, all these
Mhm.
radio shows. JD Vance was on Theo Vaughn, literally saying like release the Epstein list. Who else? Well, Trump himself has said it before. And so all of a sudden, and this is something that he kind of sort of like ran on, that it was like, and I don't want to get too political because it's more of a crime channel, but um, is that, the left drained the swamp and they're hiding stuff from you. And he was going to be the one that went into the White House and shed the light on all the inner workings of, the stuff that was going on, the JFK files. He promised, I believe, the 9/11 files too, which a couple weeks ago he was like, "Oh, well, I'll release more on the 9/11, but we're not going to do the Epstein files." So he's kind of just been like back and forth, but this is the latest. He's saying that he reiterated on social media that he asked the Department of Justice to release all grand jury testimony with respect to Jeffrey Epstein, subject only to court approval. So this is also some like, it'll be redacted in some way. And he lashed out against the loud voices who have called for transparency since the Justice Department and FBI issued their July 6th memo regarding their decision not to release any further files from federal investigators into the late financier. It says, even if the court gives its full and unwavering approval, nothing will ever be good enough for the troublemakers and radical left lunatics, which, mind you, last week he called the people in MAGA, you guys are weaklings and stuff like that. And it was his own base who was like the people who wanted the Epstein files. So it's really weird that now he's saying that the only people who want it out is the radical left lunatics making that request. It will always be wanting more, 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 Trump said in his post. He has downplayed the concerns from several people, including prominent Republicans and conservative pundits, that the government hasn't done enough yet to get to the truth behind the sex trafficking charges issued against the financier 6 years ago. The Justice Department and FBI confirmed Epstein died by suicide in a Manhattan jail on August 10th. And that's, tinfoil heads, there's still whether or not he actually died, because it's come out recently, when they released the video, that there was a minute or two missing, which some conspiracy people were saying, well, if it's the FBI, wouldn't they be smart enough to not like to hide the metadata? This is another time where metadata has come in. Metadata has been coming in a lot with crime cases, court cases, celebrity civil cases, all kinds of stuff. Um, but supposedly the metadata showed that there was a minute or two missing in that video. But some people were like, it's the FBI, like they're smart enough not to like leave metadata behind. So who knows if that's just a distraction or what? But it says Trump once had a friendly relationship with Epstein, socialized it in New York and Palm Beach when Epstein was arrested in 2019. Trump said they had a falling out and hadn't spoken in 15 years. So let's go look at the chat and see if anybody's no one's commenting on Epstein. Everyone's a little quiet on Epstein. What are you thinking about the unsealing of the Epstein files? Do you think it's just never going to happen, or?
I mean, I never thought it was going to happen. Even I think like the final straw was when they did that whole thing where they, brought a bunch of those influencers to the White House and gave them those whatever, those binders, and said these were like all the new files, and it was just like everything we've already seen. And they made a whole big deal about it. I thought that was like really weird. And I was like, we're never that's just this is what it is. Like that was the end. I think that was like signifying the end of it.
Yeah, and that was weird, the binder thing, and it's like, okay, well, you guys are the ones who made it a big, because like me, I don't follow politics or anything like that, but I remember the binder thing was a big deal. I remember I even like retweeted it and everything because it was like such a huge deal. And it's like, why do you want us to pay attention and then yell at us for paying attention? That's what it
Yeah.
felt like to me. It was like, now I'm getting yelled at for paying attention. Elisa says there's too many high profile men on that list. Trump may be on the list, so him playing the dodge game is unsurprising. Unsealing the list will never happen. So she's on team will never happen.
And you want to know if for Ghislaine, if I think at this point she realizes that they're never going to be unsealed, so she can kind of say whatever she wants at this point. It's just it kind of like feels like the same thing like with what we're seeing with Kohberger, even though with that like things are going to get unsealed, but like his motivation is not going to be unsealed. I mean, maybe if you can piece all the put all the pieces of the puzzle together, or find something in like the data, but or like his communications or whatever, but you're not going to hear it from him. And I think this is with Ghislaine too. I think she knows that the truth is never going to come out, so she can kind of just do whatever she wants now, say whatever she wants.
There's so many things it could be to try to pin one. It's just not possible with the info we have. Yeah, the motives, is that what you're talking about, Christina? I don't think it'll ever be revealed, with any credibility attached. Well, that's the thing that's, like, the weird part, because he's like, "Oh, well, it was written by the left," so it's like, well, what's on it that you're is it mostly Republicans, and that's why you're saying that it was written by the left? Or because then he says, "Oh, they should have, if they really had something on me, they would have released it when I was running for president." I'm like, well, then are you on it? Like, it was really weird when he would go on his little rants and stuff. And the person who had brought it to my attention, I'm pretty sure we're done with this one, because then it just goes into Maxwell and stuff. Yeah, was Colonel Kurt. So if you guys don't follow Colonel, this is who. Since I follow her, she also does politics, pop culture, politics, celebrity, all that stuff. So she's the one who brought it to my attention. I was actually on her show. She did a lineup. It was Pick Your Poison live stream with a bunch of different guests. Like, everyone was on it. I was on it. And it was Pick Your Poison. Either talk about Blake Lively's BS or the Trump Epstein mess.
That was a fun stream. I
It
watched
was so fun. It was, I believe, 7 hours long.
and I
But
feel like I was listening to it like
yeah, there was so many great guests, like from all, it was, corn star Celtic Iron, which I thought his points were actually pretty fun. Leanne was in there. We had Dave Niels from the Blake Lively stuff. Zach Peters was on there from also, we know him from the Blake Lively. Rakita Law. I did miss some of them. I didn't get to catch Shane or Rakita. I think um, Donna Bowling was on there as well. But yeah, it was. If you guys haven't watched this live stream, go check out her YouTube channel, Colonel Kurtz. I don't know if y'all can link it for me, Laura and Christina. But yeah, this live stream was really, really fun to watch. And if you like Blake Lively stuff too, it's like a double whammy. But she also just did one recently with Shane Cashman and Tim Pool on their podcast. That's on her channel, and so you guys should go check that one out as well. Where there was a little bit of tinfoil in that one, which is kind of fun. because there was a lot of like the conspiracy theories behind why the files aren't being released and all that stuff. And so that, yeah, that was really, really fun. And then I have one last tab, which is plugging DFJ's channel one more time. I
You
had
know,
pulled up the tab.
it's so funny. Well, because you told me to do that, so then I was like, okay, so I did, and then
First thing I noticed.
Hold on, because that's what we're gonna end the chat with is your video.
oh well, I was
Since
just gonna say right
I didn't
because
have a what you call it, a
a
video lined up
closing.
for tonight.
Well,
Yeah.
right before you do it, I was gonna say, so I actually was gonna listen to your stream tonight because you told me you were gonna have the lawyer on to talk about Kohberger. So
Mm.
I was editing because I was making for you a video, an edit of our stream from yesterday because I asked so many questions and I thought it was funny. So I made like which is only like 2 minutes. So, but I was working on it like when you're like, hey, do you want to join? So I'm gonna send it to. I'm gonna finish it when we're done and I'll send it
Yes,
to you.
for sure. And we need if you guys on here did not watch my stream yesterday, it was on Demore Hadley versus her mother, who's the CEO of Rock Nation. And it was a really good stream because a lot of people don't know about this case. It's adjacent to Jay-Z, and I'm like JC, not Jay-Z Chaz from Think, all right, y'all. Jay-Z, the rapper, and Nicki Minaj has entered the chat in it. And so it's kind of a lot of like twists and turns in the case. It's, I mean, and it could end up being criminal because, now they're talking about RICO and stuff. So it might make its way over here to the criminal channel or the crime channel. But it was really fun. DFJ had a lot of questions, and some of
Yes.
them I wasn't prepared for, but it was still fun. I was like, wait, I don't know. Wait, was she part of Rock
I went
Nation?
in
I don't
kind of
know.
blind, and so when I went back to because I was just gonna make, like, a preview of it, so you could, like, to promote it with your video, and, it was funny because I kept asking questions, and you're like, "Well, I wasn't really prepared for this many questions."
Yeah, I was like, but you know what? I loved it because then later I did my own research on some of those questions. And so, it might lead me to cover the case again. I did get a bunch of thumbs down on a bunch of my videos, which I hadn't gotten thumbs down on my videos. And then after yesterday's
Whoa,
stream,
really?
yeah, after yesterday's stream, I got a bunch. Somebody went and thumbed down to all my videos. So I
See,
don't know if that was
I think it's
Jay-Z
a
or just her.
scary case to cover. Yeah, but afterwards, I'm glad I went in blind because I told you, when I looked it up afterwards, I was like, I would have had a lot more opinions if I had known any of these things before. But
Yeah, we may cover it again. I don't know if
I
something
don't know.
else comes up.
There's
Um,
something weird with it, though. I do think that, and so maybe.
Yeah, like, I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I did put in the description of the video, who you can follow, who I say are, like, specialists, to the case, and if you are interested, you can deep dive in there, but, yeah, we are going to, Christina says I would wait some time. No, for reals, I was like, "Did Desiree Perez came and thumbs down me?" Like, and I even thought not to maybe put, she said, "I just worry about you ladies." No, yeah, it's one of those cases. It's definitely one of those cases, and they had surveillance and all kinds of stuff in it. So, um, but yeah, I wanted to play this video to kind of close it out before we go, which is DFJ's short that she made about the Blake Lively stuff. We had one of the creators who was subpoenaed on X went on is it Kirsty?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Kirsty Flaw's channel, and so yeah, she made this little short, so I'm just gonna play it because it's really well edited. And yeah, let me
So I'm like, who are these people? And then so Leanne, right? You've met with her, and I'm sure you guys know as well. She was the only other person that I recognized, and because I messaged her saying that, hey, I think this is you, but they didn't even like spell her username right. Like it's
Oh my gosh.
it's missing it. They didn't even say it. And that explains probably why she didn't get it, like the email. And she emailed Ezra Hudson, and she's waiting for a reply. Reality is, she knows she has. She even said it, like it's untraceable, right? Well, it's untraceable because
Yeah, because it doesn't exist.
it
Oh
doesn't.
my gosh.
And yeah, so I think she's just throwing, like, there's no, like, how could
pause
she?
it here real quick because I love this image of. And so for anyone who's just doesn't know the Blake Lively stuff, she subpoenaed creators saying that they're colluding, doing a smear campaign. But I love this image. It's the TMZ3, which is Candace Perez and Andy. the Google 16, which we only know 12 names. Today, a new name came up. And then the Twitter 20, which we only know 2 names so far. And according to the Spiritual Swift, who's the girl in this video, a lot of those names were not recognizable or names that we would know. And some of those accounts were suspended too. So we're no longer around. So yeah, let me just finish.
Even like
Oh, that was the end.
first thing I
Yeah, that was, I loved it. I love that whole video.
Oh, thank you.
It was really, really good and very well put. So yeah, that's the show for today, guys. Thanks for stopping by. It was a good little hour, and I got to brain dump on that Kohberger stuff because I was like, really, they're gonna release stuff, but it's gonna be redacted like all over again. And I do understand in a way why some of this stuff has to be redacted because it's also about protecting some of the victims and stuff. But I don't know. Part of me just feels like they should put it all out there, and that way the conspiracies stop. Yeah, Laura says she loved it too. Thank you so much, Kenny. Thanks, guys.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thanks, DFJ. I appreciate everybody who showed up today. We are going to be, what I didn't get to was all the other cases that we will be getting to, but let me just pull this one up real quick before we go. This is the community you guys can go subscribe to, Objection Crime Chatter on X. We have 8 members, cool little crowd. But so we're going to be going on nightly at 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday. And some of the cases that we'll be covering are, we're going to be going over the updates on Morphew, the witness list that just came out. We'll be going over Luigi Mangione, the dentist case, that's Colorado dentist case that's ongoing right now. Opening statements happened on Thursday. So we'll cover some of all, most of all that tomorrow night, 8 Eastern. See y'all there. Thanks so much for everything. And we'll see y'all on the next one. Good night.
Thank you.